What do you think will come out of this vote on Wednesday?
Well, I don't think we know, because a lot depends on how Jerry Nadler ultimately frames an impeachment resolution. Clearly, Nancy Pelosi, who can count heads in the House and also the American people in polls, understands that a majority of Americans are not in favor of impeachment. The most recent Monmouth poll found that while 57% of those polled said that they didn't want Donald Trump to be president anymore, 59% said they didn't want him removed through impeachment. So she can read that as well as anyone. On the other hand, 137 members of the Democratic caucus are now in favor of some kind of impeachment and a process beginning. So I think now the issue is, how will Jerry Nadler define the areas that an impeachment would cover? Would it cover just the material that was explored by Robert Mueller, that is the Russia connection? Will it include the alleged hush payments to the women with whom Donald Trump allegedly slept before the campaign and tried to cover up, supposedly, according to the charge, before he was elected? Or will it also include other things? Will it include self-enrichment, allegations of self-enrichment through the emoluments clause? This Vice President Pence staying at his hotel in the UK, things like that. So much depends on the speed at which they proceed and the issues that will be covered by this, if it proceeds at all.
Yeah, that Pence visit, one of the the latest ones in Ireland, also those allegations that there was a stopover for refueling by the military in a spot where they don't usually go, to try and go maybe play golf or something on a Trump property. Others are saying, Judy, right, that Nancy Pelosi, you've got a skilled, decade-long tactician. Her father was in Congress. He served 12 years as mayor of Baltimore. And some are thinking that behind the closed doors, where they used to have smoke-filled rooms, she's doing a slow roll of this so that impeachment proceedings would theoretically start sometime next summer, right in the middle of the campaign. What are your thoughts about that?
Right, which would make it unlikely that impeachment will start at all, because Democrats understand that once the election goes into full swing, they're going to have to concentrate a lot on the candidate and the candidates who actually emerge as the front runners. So I think her strategy, and she was very clear, Eric, to those of us with whom she met this summer in the Hamptons, informally and elsewhere in her conversations with Democrats, that she understands that she continues to view this as a distraction, a potential distraction from the money raising, from the work that has to be done to make sure that the ultimate contest, which is going to take place in November, comes out in favor of the Democrats. I think she doesn't want this to proceed. On the other hand, she's not willing to throw herself in front of the impeachment truck, which is now gathering steam, with 137 Democrats now saying they favor it. That's about half of the caucus. She has to proceed very, very carefully. And of course, the presidential candidates, a lot of them have endorsed an impeachment process. So it's really a very tricky road for her to hoe right now.
Yeah, well, you spent time with her. You just said this summer. How does she defend herself to the rabid progressives, especially, who are demanding impeachment? Because she has, while she's saying then, as you say, go slow, they'll be outraged at her thinking that she's selling them out.
Well, that's the problem, and that's why she has not stopped this process. She has enabled papers to be filed. She's talked to Jerry Nadler, the head of the Judiciary Committee, about his plans and procedures. But I think she's not going to do anything to encourage a speedy process. I think that she's going to try and slow this process down. Now, she did not tell me this. I have not had an interview with her on this subject. However, she did appear both at a fundraiser here just before, during the Labor Day weekend, and also at a private dinner, and she made her views known to those in the room, and I talked to them. So that's how I get a sense of what she believes.
And being the diligent Pulitzer Prize-winning reporter that you are, what is the reaction of those who are at that dinner?
Well, I think a lot of people understand, especially people here in the Hamptons who tend to be richer and more, I would say, strategic. They favor more, most of them favor more moderate or centrist candidates for the presidency. They are, most of them were supporting Donald Trump in the dinner that I would have attended if I hadn't been otherwise engaged. But I think that people who tend to vote to the left of center are really adamant about their argument is this, Eric. They say, look, nobody read the Mueller report, so nobody really knows about all of the instances of alleged obstruction of justice that President Trump and his administration were involved in. And therefore, an impeachment process would bring those issues and that collusion and cooperation front and center. It would highlight the self-dealing of so many in this administration as they see it. And therefore, they want the exposure, then the publicity that these alleged abuses would receive. And that's why they want to proceed with impeachment. Nancy Pelosi thinks ultimately once the campaign gets into full swing, there are going to be other things that Democrats will have to do, and this may serve as a distraction. And also with so many independents, 39% of them in the last Monmouth poll said they didn't want to go down the impeachment route. That means that you can lose some of those potential voters in November, and she doesn't want that to happen either.
And
so I think she's slow rolling it, doing what she can.
I just want to make a note, you're in the Hamptons, East Hampton, Southampton, Watermill, fancy playground for the rich of New York City. But it's represented by Lee Zeldin, a conservative Republican, and they even have a $150 million mansion that's for sale. It's got its own baseball field. To another point, this could backfire. Corey Lewandowski.
Yes.
Corey Lewandowski
Yes.
may testify before the Judiciary Committee in an open session on September 17th. He's been asked, he's going to go, and you know, they've been talking about him being a potential candidate for the Senate in New Hampshire. Don't you think when he shows up, it's going to, he's going to give it to them? He's going to be using that as a show. It's going to be a 3-hour campaign commercial for the potential candidacy for Corey Lewandowski, because you know he is going to try to demolish the Democrats' arguments, and you know he's going to defend President Trump in every which way he can.
That's exactly why those who are opposed to the impeachment process say, be careful what you wish for, because people like Lewandowski, witnesses like Lewandowski, could turn this proceeding into, as Donald Trump alleges, yet another witch hunt against him and his presidency. It could actually reinforce independents who are on the fence about whether or not Donald Trump deserves a second term. It could definitely backfire on the Democrats, and that's why they're worried.
It will be must-see TV, definitely. Judy Miller, who is coming to us.
Absolutely. We will be there.
We will be covering it here on the Fox News Channel. Judy, thank you, as always. Have a great weekend.